What up, world? This Mark Walter War with the Big Facts Show. I'm in here with Ccelli. I was first introduced to him while he was. This is in the blog era when people who managed artists, which he did or worked with artists, would solicit blog placements through emails. And he had an artist he was working with named Rich Quick, who I just thought was fantastic, lyrically dexterous. As his career developed, he grew in his musicality. Um, he built a following. Unfortunately, he passed away, and basically, I know Ccelli was like best. I don't know, a bet just very very close with him, and I'd appreciate it if you could tell us about him, a little bit about his story.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Rich was an incredible artist, and actually, his first official mixtape was, sponsored by Drank and Dank, which you helped get him the recognition very early on. I think you might have been the first ever to post his music, like in the world, and that helped.
I just listened to it. It was good.
Immensely.
It
Yeah.
was undeniable.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, he was a super talented kid. When early on in my career, I worked at a record label. I was hired when I was, in my early 20s to work at a record label. And we had some artists. Rich was not one of the artists at the time. He was a kid. He was still like fresh out of high school or senior year in high school. But he was wildly famous.
Yeah.
Super, super, super impressive battle rapper at that time, when he was 16, 17 years old. And he had a slew of mixtapes. I think he had 5 mixtapes by the time I met him, which was unheard of for a kid. And he had his own, rap crew.
Hold on, let's explain it good though. Part of the reason why it was unheard of was because people weren't necessarily recording on the computer. They had to buy studio time, which quickly became very expensive.
That's right.
At absolutely. A young age, that shows an intense dedication to his craft.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a true artist early on. As a kid, he started rapping really early, and he got people's attention. He was a born star, extremely dynamic. If he walked into a room, even without rapping, he had an incredible star power. Again, even early on, and he had an unquenchable work ethic. He just constantly he worked. He did a ton of music. I mean, at that time, that's a good point. We were pooling our money together to get studio time, and we would go in and be able to afford, let's say, 3 hours, because at that time it was like $250, and he would do 10 songs, all one take. He'd have the beats, everything organized, everything ready, just because he worked hard
and then he went out and sold the shit. I mean, you did too, but y'all went out and sold the shit out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we were selling mixtapes, and he was doing shows, and we were on tour at that time. Same type of thing.
You say mixtape, though. A lot of them were basically albums. They were original beats.
They were, yeah. A lot of them were original. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
I mean, I definitely listened to as much Rich Quick as I could.
Yeah, he has an incredible body of work. For being such a young guy.
What would you say his ceiling was? Like what was the biggest peak he reached? Because I mean, I definitely remember seeing him, going out performing outside of his area and getting a good reception, and doing the blog rounds when that was important, and getting added to the higher level mixtapes. He seemed like he was definitely respected in the underground community all throughout the Northeast.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we did. He did a total of 3 European tours. I did 2 of them with him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was huge. I mean, we sold out our last show of our first tour. We sold out a huge venue in Amsterdam.
See, I was gonna be careful because I didn't want to be wrong. But that's why I wanted to say I thought I had a memory of him like performing in front of like 5,000 people or something.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, and on one of the dates of that, the initial, I think it was the first tour, Dead Prez headlined, and Rich opened for him.
Did they interact?
That was huge. So, what's that?
Did they interact?
They did, yeah.
Did Dead Prez like Rich Quick? Because that'd be a hell of a cosign.
Yeah, I mean, we never got any type of like video drop or anything like that.
Nah,
But
but I'm talking about just feedback on the music. Like, fuck that
yes,
industry shit.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's just in that environment. You know, you're in another country. There's so much. It's so intense. There's so much going on, and
Did you
the
get to see him
fans.
perform hip hop in different countries?
Yeah,
Oh wow, that must have been something.
crazy, legendary times, man.
And how did the European fans respond to Rich?
They loved them. I mean, it was crazy. The amount of merch that we sold, the amount of CDs, the amount of people. I mean, you know, even when we were getting off the plane, people were waiting in the airport to take a picture with them. I mean, it was intense, and it was something that I'm glad we did it. We had to fight for it. It was like part of our 3-year plan where we hired a publicist to work his initial debut mixtape, which was "I'm with the DJ" with DJ No Frills and Benja Styles, and it was like a hip hop purist type
Benja
of.
Styles is a huge DJ in
Yeah,
Philadelphia. For those who aren't
yeah,
aware,
yeah. No, it's a legend, and we did what nobody else was doing, which
what's the
was.
most downloads you got on one of them? I know one of them got 1 million downloads, and this isn't like Spotify
Yeah,
streams. This is like downloads.
this was before
Like
Spotify. Yeah,
people
it was
gotta make
definitely.
storage on their computer for that shit.
Yeah, it was in the millions. That mixtape did extremely well. I mean, it was like number one on Dat Piff, you know, which at that time, for your younger listeners, at that time that was like the mixtape gold. That was like being on number one on Rap Caviar now. Being number
Yeah,
one on Dat Piff in
it
that
was.
era
It was a
was.
huge deal.
Yeah, it was a huge deal. So yeah, I mean, he had a great personality. So when he would meet with his fans, his younger, even his, he had a really strong younger fan base of like high school kids and younger. He always was kind. He was a leader. Even, in the last couple of years, he was a teacher. He was teaching kids like hip hop and production and rapping, and it was his life. Hip hop was truly his life.
Is there unreleased stuff?
I'm sure that there is. He did release a project. Well, he was working with an A&R friend of ours, so named Doc Holliday, and Doc released a project after he passed away with DJ Trickster, who was our tour DJ when we were in Europe. So it was a European. It was like a bunch of records that he had done when we were in the UK with the guys that we toured with over there, along with some of the music that he recorded over here. So
And
I'm
that
not
one
sure.
had like some type of more of a experimental feel on some of the musical selection, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the last record that we released, it was like a cover of like an Elvis song. He was like singing.
He was evolving
Yeah, he was.
and
Yeah,
not to get more fans or sales, but like organically, like as a musician, you could tell.
yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, he was a true artist, no doubt about it.
Where that last project you discussed, where can anyone who wanted to hear it get it?
I believe I'm not sure that it's streaming, but I know for sure it's on Bandcamp. They released it through his Bandcamp, and all the proceeds go to he. Like I said, he worked at a school that was for kids to learn, music. It was like a music school, and so I
I'll make
know.
sure the link is included in the description.
Yeah, please, thank you. I appreciate that.
And well, I know this isn't the best subject for you, but so let's leave this on a positive note.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Rich Quick song?
Oh man, that's a hard one.
All right, then let's put it like this. Which one of you listen to the most?
So personally, my personal favorite is a record called "I'm Searching," and it's all fun with the DJ. I just was there. He wrote. I didn't want to say we wrote it because he definitely wrote it himself, 100%. But I was in the car with him. We were driving back and forth to the studio. I remember him writing it, like writing it meaning not physically writing it, but rapping bar for bar and catching the bars and kind of putting it together, and then us recording it. And it's it's a special record to me for sure. But I like Poison, which is with Griffey and Big Pun's son. That's a great record. That was off of The Everywhere Man, which is a great album.
Shout out Chris Rivers.
Yeah, Chris Rivers. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few records that are just impressive.
All right. Well,
Sure.
everyone who hears this, I'm telling you, it's well worth checking out. And again, I know this wasn't the easiest thing for you to talk about, so thank
Yeah.
you for your time, and I appreciate it. Man, R.I.P. Rich Quick. We're gonna close this out with this incredibly creative song he made about the life of Tupac Shakur.
Afeni Shakur, an activist in the Black Panthers run, attacked and entrapped and imprisoned in 7-1. And to make matters worse, when she was pregnant with a son, Tupac Amaru Shakur, the legend begun. His godmother was Assata Shakur. His godfather was Geronimo Pratt, a godson of the war. And he was born as a Harlem boy, just trying to make it. Afeni, she couldn't take it. They relocated to Baltimore in 1984. Afeni knew his heart. She transferred him from public schools to the School of Arts, where Pocket made his mark. With Stone Broke, it was dark, but he prevailed and he sailed through with an open heart. It was a start, but crack got his mama. They packed up and moved to Marin City in California. His mother's struggle hurt him bad, so he blamed drugs. He started hanging with pimps, pushers, and thugs, so he moved out of mama's house and met a woman named Layla. He moved in with his homie Ray Love. He dropped out of school, but he ain't playing dumb. Layla was his mentor, and literacy makes us. He read Steinbeck, Malcolm X, Richard Wright, Machiavelli, Imitation of Christ by Thomas Kempis, a modern mentor to the streets. His group was strictly dope and they was tearing through the beats. And that's when Layla hooked him up with Atron Gregory. And soon became a roadie with the homie Shock G. Now, the underground was up and coming like they wasn't nothing. But they was popping, so Pocket hit the ground running. And it's the 90s now. The streets need a beast. He got his break when this is an EP release. And all around the world they heard same song. The first track Pocket ever got his name on. Now he clowned around when he hung around with the underground. Girls who used to clown said he down when he came around. It was a new sound. Tupac was it. 1991 was the release of the Tupacalypse now. Criticized by Dan Quayle. Interscope wasn't sure if it's gonna fail. And everybody talking about the violence as well. And Pac was on the line by himself. No help. Brenda's Got a Baby was a classic in and of itself. Juice made the box office swell. Bishop was the truth. Everybody knew the deal. Strictly 4 was strictly real. Fed up. He set up. Told us how he messed up. Told the women all around the world to keep their heads up. The ladies had his back through all of the savage acts. He hit screen again, co-starring with Janet Jackson. And all the madness of his life became his habitat. A pacifist, but still an activist. How bad is that? He shot 2 cops and Tupac popped. He got off and all the charges was dropped. But they ain't all that he got. He met a girl at 19 in 93. She blew him on the dance floor. Damn, that bitch is grimy. He took her back to the suite, cracked her under sheets. Ain't no love if your homie doesn't beat. So Pac left the room and went to sleep. And when he woke up, everybody talking about police. And it wasn't me. Accused of sodomy, sexual abuse, and possession of a weapon. But Pac didn't do it. After the first day of deliberations, he was thirsty for tasting the studio in the worst way. He went to Quad in Times Square, NY, seen Lil Caesar's little homie from Bed-Stuy, Biggie's side guy. And so his homeboys inside, why wouldn't he decide not to slide by? It was a dude outside of fatigues and kept watch, looked to see if it was Pac, then his head dropped. 2 dudes entered the spot and it begun. A robbery in progress. Pulled out their guns. Get them on the floor, grab the jewelry and the funds. And then Pac had reached for their Glocks and they were stunned. They bust shots, 4 of them. Cut into his flesh. Took the pinky ring and the gold chain off his neck. They would lay him out stretched when he left. He almost bled to death. It was a night Pac never forget. And now his paranoia high. He knew he would survive, so he checked himself out the hospital barely alive. Against the doctors who performed the surgery advised. He hit the streets for the next day at the trial. He was late, but fuck it. He had to know his fate. 1.5 to 4.5 in state. And Suge Knight would visit him. And Death Row was great. They had the rap game in a chokehold and would take Pac's life to the top of the whole game. Take his life in a whole different lane. It would make him change. He signed his soul on the line and made bail. and Suge paid well while controlling the grind. He signed a 3-album deal in so little time, rocketed to the top of his pop shit in his prime. All eyes on me, y'all lies on